Welcome to Tasting Tuesday, the day where I give you a tip to make your whole life just a little bit tastier. Today we're going to talk about dissecting aroma. The last 2 weeks we looked at how to collect aroma properly, both orthonasally and retronasally, and now we're going to come up with a system of how to parse out all the different things we're smelling and make sense of them. So when I think about scent, I like to take my cues from the world of perfume, where every fragrance is divided into top notes, base notes, and heart notes by the person designing the scent. In beer, it's a little bit different. I like to think of primary, secondary, and tertiary scents, where primary is going to be that thing that hits you in the face. It's the strongest scent you're smelling. Secondary is going to be something that's still very important to the aroma profile. It's definitely present. You don't have to look too hard for it. And tertiary is when you're really digging in there and starting to take apart the aroma, what other little things pop up and act like seasoning. So this beer, when I smell it, I'm just doing those short sniffs, the 3 short sniffs. I'm definitely getting spice and clove and coriander popping out first. So that's gonna be my primary scent. That's like the minute I took this glass away, I was already thinking, okay, what kind of spice even is that? And thinking about it. So now as I approach the second time for my second set of short sniffs, I'm gonna say, what else is there under the clove now that I've identified that? And so for this, it's definitely, it's kind of like a crackery, maybe like very pale white bread, not yeasted bread, maybe it's like a very pale cracker or flatbread. That's the secondary. It's kind of carrying that spice. It's definitely necessary, but it's not that first thing that jumps out of the glass to me. And then now that I've identified those two, what you need to kind of do as you're analyzing the scent is try to push those out and see what else is hiding under there. So when I go back in for my long sniff, now I'm going to say, I know there's spice. I know there's this bready character. Is there anything else hiding under there? And this one, I'll be honest, I'm looking for a bit of orange because it's supposed to be a wit beer style ale. And I'm not really getting it. It's coming across mostly as a lemon, like a little bit of a lemon peel. And there's also some kind of a like floral, maybe a lilac hidden in there. So that I'm guessing is coming from the hops, but those I don't really find. And then we can kind of see if that orange will pop out more as we swirl. Yeah, so it's still like a lemony, maybe a very young, maybe very underripe orange. But those would be our primary spice, secondary, bready cracker, tertiary, lemon, and a little bit floral aromas. Those are all going to be coming from the major ingredients in beer. Malt, yeast, hops, water not so much, we'll talk about that later, and then whatever else the brewer wants to throw in the kettle. Now they could be donuts, it could be gummy bears. Those are all things that are definitely going to show up in these aroma profiles, but you want to try to categorize those primary, secondary, and tertiary aromas and see what ingredient we think they're going to come from. So that's something we'll focus on next week, is what kind of aromas might come from malt, what might come from yeast, what might come from hops, and then how to decide if something is just totally out of left field and thrown in the fermenter or the boil kettle by the brewer. So I'll see you next week. Do you want a Florida whip beer?